Hello, everybody. Welcome back for a new midnight session. Today, we're going to talk about the NMKR Berlin Hackathon. We're going to share some photos and videos. Then we're going to go through a new blog that was released by Lauren. And then we're going to go deep into the technical part. We're going to discuss about other two functions under the API file that are called displayCounterValue and createWalletAndMidnightProvider. And then I'm gonna open the mics to discuss. People are gonna be able to ask questions, and I'm gonna read the questions on the panel as well. So it's just brainstorming for everybody to discuss any topics at all. Okay, so let's get started. Let's first talk about hackathons, right? Yesterday, I just finished the submissions of the hackathons projects for the online virtual hackathon organized by Midnight itself. So on Friday, we're gonna have the main event where people are gonna be able to see all the projects that submitted something on the hackathon. So it's gonna be really nice. I'm gonna be a judge, and I hope I see everybody over there on Friday. And now let's talk about the NMKR Hackathon. That happened on Berlin. And for those that don't know, I have a twin brother and he lives in Germany, and he went to that event. So I have some photos and videos that I'm going to be able to share with you guys. So let's see the scope of this hackathon. So this hackathon was organized by NMKR. And we can see the scope over here. Let's see. We can see that it was divided by three main kind of engines topics: Cardano, Masumi, and NMKR. So what's this all about? Let's read what's the scope of this hackathon. So here's the deal. The next wave of innovation on Cardano is happening right now, and we want to be part of it. We are running a 24-hour hackathon. So this is something nice, and normally it's what happens during physical hackathons. The online ones, normally they last 1 month, so we can actually deploy and create more content regarding the project. But for hackathons that last just 24 hours, it's a different approach, right? But developers, they only have 1 day for doing something. So we are running a 24-hour hackathon during Berlin Blockchain Week that brings together people who are excited about Web3, AI, and blockchain. So this event actually gathered people from other blockchains, and these topics were discussed: Web3, AI, blockchain. And AI, it's a really hot topic right now. And this hackathon also touched this Masumi concept of, if people haven't heard about Masumi, it's a protocol that's been built by NMKR, which combine AI and blockchain and Cardano. The coolest part, you don't need to be a coding wizard to join us. Seriously, come to meet interesting people, throw new ideas around, join a team with complementary skills, or just check what's everyone building. So this is something nice about these hackathons. People normally think that hackathon is just about coding, but those hackathons that last 1-2 days, it's all about networking and get to know other developers and see what everybody else is building, right? So at the end, it's kind of a brainstorm where everybody get together and share experiences. So this hackathon was divided in 2 days. We can see here that it started on Friday. It was this past Friday, and it finished on the Saturday 14th. So it was pretty much 2 days. It started with some welcoming, and then they had some networking and beers. And during the night, all the hackathoners started coding, and the presentations, it was on the next day at 6 p.m. So it was 1 day of coding, right? And So we can see here on the next day, Saturday 14th, they have some keynotes by business people, Cardano Foundation, Midnight, and NMKR. So different engines actually sponsor this event, Cardano Foundation and Midnight. Then at 6, it started the team presentations, 4 minutes per team. So it's pretty much what happened on the online hackathons that we're going to have on Friday. Every team, more or less, they have 4 minutes to present their ideas and what they have cooked for the hackathon. And then at 20, they have some networking and flying dinner and the announcements of the winning team. So they offer 15,000 euros for grabs, and it was divided in 3 tracks. One track for Cardano, the other one for Masumi, and the other one for Midnight. Let's see the scope of each one of those. So the Cardano guide ideas for dApps that solve real problems, want to build something that makes DeFi actually usable by normal humans, or have a wild idea for bringing blockchain into everyday life. So it was an open scope. Everybody was welcome to build something that they wish. About Masumi, imagine AI agents that can work together, handle money, prove they did what they claimed. If you're into building autonomous systems that can actually do stuff in the world without constant human babysitting, we want to see what you create. So Masumi, it's a protocol and a platform that you can actually integrate blockchain, Cardano, and AI agents. And really nice track. And then we had the Midnight track as well. So privacy isn't optional anymore. It's essential. Build apps that leverage zero-knowledge proof to protect sensitive data while unlocking Web3 use cases that were impossible before. With Midnight compact language, you can decide what stays hidden and what goes on-chain. So again, the Midnight track and the Cardano track, they were open tracks. I mean, you can create anything you want using that specific technology, Cardano technology and Midnight technology. So who were invited? As they mentioned before, you didn't even need to know how to code. There were some participants that actually created their projects all by vibe coding. And this was really interesting. And for those who doesn't know the word or the phrase vibe coding, it's the action for you to create code without any coding knowledge at all, and just by using AI, Keep provides all the code, right? So nowadays you have like a spectrum where you can be a vibe coder, right? You can use 100%, 80%, 60%, 40%, 20%. So there were teams that were using actually 100% of using AI features to actually write the code itself. So for hackathons that last one day, actually vibe coding gives you a really nice advantage. So it was really nice to see something like that happening during a hackathon. And let's see some photos and videos about this hackathon that I can share with you guys. So we can see here that the event was held in a building, and it was divided in 4 floors. In the first floor, it was general knowledge about blockchain. On the second floor, actually, it was Solana giving an event. And on the 4th floor, it was held the NMKR, Cardano, and Midnight hackathons. So we can say here that while people were developing on the 3rd floor, other businesses and developers, they were sharing some knowledge. We can see here people presenting and other developers actually learning some concepts. We can see here tents. As I mentioned, the hackathon was 2 days. The hackathoners started coding during the night of Friday, and they had until Saturday afternoon. So for those that needed some sleep just to recharge, they provided these tents, so people were sleeping over there. So it's a really nice concept and a nice way to actually share knowledge and share experiences during hacking. We can see here the program for Saturday. They started breakfast at 9. Something that I was told that the food during this event was really nice. I mean, they exceeded expectations when it came to food, and actually the event as well. So they had a breakfast at 9, lunch at noon, from 12 to 15 interview sessions with partner and guest. So as I mentioned, there were 2 floors. The third floor, people were programming. It was a space to have a nice desk, some quiet place, so people can actually build. And on the 4th floor were these interviews. So during this time, hackathoners were building, but at the same time, people, businesses, and other developers were providing some sessions and interview sessions and training and stuff like that. From 14 to 17, lectures by Service Plan and Maker Cardano Foundation. So people from Cardano Foundation, people from IOG, people from Midnight, they were giving lectures and introducing the technology to others that were interested on starting developing on these new technologies. At 18, we have the presentation of results. So as I mentioned, we have these 3 tracks, and they presented the winners for each one of those tracks. And at 12, at 8 p.m. 20, they have this award dinner. Again, food was incredible, was really nice. And they have this award ceremony, announcement of winners, and a get-together party with DJ. So as I mentioned, these hackathons, it's all about networking and sharing experiences and actually coding. So it's a really nice combination. This is my brother, right? People were telling me, Eric, how do you manage to travel all around the world like without notice? And I was like, no, this is my brother. I made an announcement on Twitter for people not to get confused. Nevertheless, everybody got confused. But he's my twin brother, and he's also joining the ecosystem. So we welcome Ivan. So on the 2nd floor, they were having this event, Web3.hub, that actually gather all these other companies and blockchains. We can see Ledger, Solana, Base, Near, Algorand, Jupiter, MetaMask. So it was a really nice event. So you actually have options to learn and to network, right? You can go to the Cardano Midnight floor. You can go to the developer floor to actually talk with developers, learn about blockchain as a whole, and going to this Web3 hub to actually get to meet all these people. So it was a really nice opportunity for those that were around. This was a place where the event of the Cardano Midnight Hackathon took place. So it was really was a really nice place to have this event. I mean, people could sit, could stand, could talk. So it was really flexible. I like these kind of places to actually network and talk about tech stuff. As I mentioned, food was really nice. You can see here, they have these lasagna and wine, cheese. I mean, it was really nice food. I mean, people were crazy about the food. Again, you can see here that people could give lectures and explain their technology, and people could watch and learn. We had places for developers to actually code. So they provided these desks and isolated places so they can code in a quiet place. So now I have some videos as well to share with you guys. This is about the event.
About the spinning of the UI, as well as data structuring AI can handle a lot of that in the future. Right? And so you don't have to be as savvy.
You can see you have food, beverages, drinks, places where people can sit. Let's see. Have music. People were chilling. Really nice place. I mean, NMKR, they know how to run these hackathons. Oh, DJs. Then the announcement of the winners.
Go to Masumi Bears.
This was the winner of Masumi. The hackathoners using the Masumi protocol. This is a team of NMKR. And then we had the
5,000 euros go to Cov.
So this was the announcement of another truck. She was really happy. Yeah. So, well, it was a really nice event. Congrats NMKR and all people involved, Midnight and Cardano. So now, let's go to one of the blogs that was provided by Lauren, where we're gonna discuss a really nice topic, and it comes to developers, how developers level up within the Midnight network. So let's look at the blog. So the blog says, this article follows the path some builders have taken from early contributions in the community to hackathon wins to becoming key ecosystem partners. So she's dividing a path of a developer in three main areas. The first one is kind of how do you start learning? How do you start contributing? Then she talks about how important the hackathons are. And then how can you end up being a partner of Midnight so you can actually collaborate in the long term. She puts as example two teams, the Brick Towers and Edda Labs team. As for those that don't know, I'm part of the Edda Labs team, and we participated in some hackathons at the early stages of Midnight. So let's see here. First, step one, join the community. Midnight Discord is a great place to go for questions and technical support. So regarding Discord, we have these two Discords, the Midnight and the Mesh Discord. Mesh, we talk about some specific topics and tooling that Mesh is developing for Midnight. And the Midnight Discord, it's where all the engineers and specific discussions should take place as a macro level, right? So, and there as well, it's all the developers. So when you ask questions, everybody's going to be able to help you guys out. And so this is kind of the first place to go and ask questions. Then she mentions that right now we have a lot of documentation and education materials to start with. So taking the time to explore foundational resources like Midnight documentation, developer diaries, and expanding the developer academy and resources like compact tutorials. So all these materials we are actually learning on these sessions, and we are going through all of them. And then they mention some feedbacks from partners as Brick Towers and Edda Labs. So here they are sharing some feedback from Unshielded podcast provided by the Brick Towers team. And once you have learned the basics, the foundations, then you go to step 2, which is about grow through developer events. What developer events? Hackathons, right? So we have the online hackathons that last 1 month, and Midnight team, it's actually offering these hackathons once a month. And then you have the physical hackathons, like the one that I just showed you guys from NMKR that happened in Berlin. So here are some recommendations. For example, for me, hackathon winner Eric Romero of Edda Labs said, hackathons push developers out of their comfort zone and into rapid hands-on learning. With limited time, you are forced to build fast, integrate different ecosystem resources, and collaborate with others. Success comes from teaming up, learning while building, and taking full advantage of the network and community around you. So you only have 1 month to actually build. So if you team up and you actually create synergy, you're going to be able to do more. So it's really important to actually get to know the community, the resources. That's why it's important, the step 1, that actually you create your foundation. And then with these hackathons, you actually level up, right? Here they share some comments regarding judging the hackathon submissions. Is honestly a pleasure. I've seen impressive engineering work under a deadline and creative solutions to the technical limitation of C programming. So yeah, the judges, it's now being offered by not only the Midnight core team, but also by the ecosystem partners as well. For example, for this hackathon, people from Sunday Labs, from Brick Towers, Edda Labs, myself, we're going to be judging the project. So I'm going to be really happy to take a look at everybody's project and see what you guys have been cooking. They share one of the projects of Brick Towers. This project was the winner of one of the hackathons regarding the it was the don't remember the C Battle hackathon blogs. Other comments here about me that I mentioned: the most important skill is deeply understanding the problem you are solving and how Midnight provides the right tools for it. From there, it's about defining a realistic scope based on your team's time constraints and making collaboration flow so everyone contributes effectively under pressure. Again, it's only 1 month. So you have to start understanding what is the problem you want to solve. And after that, make sure that you put in place a scope that it's feasible. You only have 1 month. So something that Lauren mentioned, it's a project that has been built taking consideration this 1 month constraint that you actually finish what you meant to finish. It could have a higher score than a really complex project that just delivered 20% of the scope. So this is something that should take in consideration while creating projects. And lastly, we have the stage 3, that it's about build long-term as an ecosystem partner. So they mentioned here, for example, the team from Brick Towers provide a perfect example of this journey. It's a win-win situation. They started like that. They started understanding how works Midnight, then participating on the hackathon, and then becoming a partner of Midnight. The same thing for Edda Labs. We went through this process, right? Understand the foundations, participate in hackathons, and actually creating value within the ecosystem. And we are really happy about it. And these examples of Brick Towers and Edda Labs, it's an example that Lauren wanted to show to other developers that are actually going through this track, that if Brick Towers and Edda Labs manage to do it, they are open for other developers to go through the same path, and they want that as well, because the network is only going to grow if we have more partners and ecosystem developers actually creating value to the ecosystem. So she's sharing this feedback and these experiences for everybody to take into consideration and see how you can become one of these partners of Midnight. So thank you, Lauren, and everybody can learn through this process. And as I mentioned, right now we have all the materials for you guys to go through this process. All the materials, education, the videos, Discord, the hackathons, physical hackathons, and they are open to get more partners. Excellent. So now let's go to the technical part. So the last session, we were discussing some APIs and how the blockchain state was structured. So now we're gonna learn about two other functions: displayCounterValues and createWalletAndMidnightProviders. So let's see. DisplayCounterValue. It's a async function that takes providers of type counter providers. We have already learned what is a provider and how this type is declared under common types. If not sure how this is done, you can go through my previous sessions where we explain everything about these topics. Then we pass the counter contract, which is a deployed counter contract. This came from these functions above: deploy and join contract functions. Okay, so we first want to grab the contract address. How we have the contract address based on a deploy counter contract. So we have this object counter contract and we have some methods. What are the methods? If we remember, we have the call transaction method, which is actually to execute a circuit. And then we have the deploy transaction data, which is all the information regarding the contract when that contract was deployed to the network. So in this case, we're going to be able to grab some information during deployment. So and what we want is the contract address. So we're going to call the method deploy transaction data. And then let's see what methods we have in here. We have private and public information. The contract address, it's public. So, okay, let's put public. And in the public, we have all these values. We have the block hash when that contract was deployed, the block hash, block height, contract address, initial contract state, status, transaction height, transaction ID. What we want is the contract address. So we select contract address. So in this way, we can know a contract address of a deployed contract. And now we want the counter value. So we know that our contract, it has a ledger value called counter. So how do we get that value? We're going to use this function, get counter ledger state. We're going to pass the provider and we're going to pass the contract address. Where is this function coming from? This is one of the first functions that we took a look at the beginning of this API file. If we go up, we are going to remember that this is the function that we first saw when we were looking at these functions. And with this function, we actually get an state of a variable or value of a specific contract. In this case, we're going to get the state of this contract. So we pass providers and we pass contract address. And this is something that we are passing here. So the contract value, we're calling that function and we're passing the providers and we're passing the address that we just got from this function deploy transaction data. Excellent. Now that we have the value, if it's null, we're going to log, okay, there is no counter contract. And if there is something, we're going to display that value. And we're going to return the contract address and the counter value. So, nice function. With that function, we can get the address and the actual value of the ledger state. And now the other function that we're going to take a look at, it's called createWalletAndMidnightProvider. So we're going to pass a wallet. So this is something new. What is this wallet? It's actually of type wallet. Where is this type coming from? If we see here, the wallet, it's coming from a wallet API library from the Midnight network. So this is a type of wallet, right? So we're gonna learn that we have two types of wallets: wallet for a Node.js environment and a wallet for a browser environment. For the browser environment, we're gonna study that later. But for the Node.js environment, we're gonna use this type wallet. Excellent. So we're assuming here that we already have a wallet of type wallet. And as a result, we're gonna have a promise of type wallet provider and midnight provider. So this function, what it's doing, it's actually creating those providers. Remember that we have these midnight providers, 6 of them. We can create also custom ones. So this function is gonna create 2 of those providers, which is the wallet provider and the midnight provider based on a wallet instance, which is of type wallet. Let's see how we create that provider. First, let's grab the state of our wallet. How do we do that? So wallet, it's an object that has some methods. Let's see what are the methods that we have. This wallet, that object can balance transaction, can prove transaction, can serialize state, can submit a transaction, and can transfer transactions. So it's an SDK. We can do a lot with that wallet. What we want right now is just to grab the state. So we're gonna call the method state and we're gonna execute it. Something important is that the output of that method state, it's an observable. If you don't know what an observable is, you can go back to one of my first videos and I explain everything about observable and why we use it within the Midnight framework. So the output is an observable, and we're going to use some methods within the RxJS library. The RxJS is the JavaScript library to actually work with observables. So we're going to call Rx, and we're going to call the method first value from. So we are waiting for the first state of that observable. When that value comes, we're going to get it. So we're going to wait for the first value from this observable, which is the state of the wallet. Once we get that first state, we're going to store it in a variable called state. Perfect. Then I'm logging some information from that state. Let's see what we have. We have address, we have available coins, we have balances, we have coin public key, we have coins, we have encryption public key, we have nullifiers, we have pending coins, and we have sync progress. So again, that's a lot of new concepts. And the same thing that we did before, where we explain these concepts regarding the output of a circuit, in the next session, we're going to explain what these values mean by looking at the output. So next session is going to be really interesting because now we're going to understand what are the outputs of a wallet. And then we're going to learn how to actually build those providers. The wallet provider and the midnight provider. The wallet provider, we're going to have this balance transaction method. And for the midnight provider, we're going to have this submit transaction method. So we're going to see that in the next session. Okay, so now I'm going to open the mics and I'm going to allow the request to speak feature here in Discord. So if anybody wants to speak up, you can just raise your hand and I'm going to let you join the stage, or you can just write your questions on the question panel. And I will waiting for anybody if they have any questions. I'm gonna look on Discord as well. Sometimes people send me questions on private. So let's see. Okay, I have one question here regarding the UI part. So what we are going in order regarding concepts. So as you can see here on the structure, we have this counter construct, we have this counter CLI, and then we have front end, right? So first, we are understanding the foundation of how Midnight works, how we actually write contracts, and how we write the functions to talk with providers. Then we're gonna go through some test features in the contract we have this test framework. And on the CLI, we also have the test framework, and we have the CLI, where we actually have a TUI. Once those points are complete, then we're going to go to the front end part, where we're going to be able to test and run these features, but now using an interface. What I'm doing here is I'm creating the front end using Next and Vite React, right? So, well, we're going to see all those topics later on, but what we're going to learn how to build here, it's actually end-to-end dApps. So we're going to go through all these contracts, CLI, and UIs, and actually then start building more complex dApps. So this one is the counter. We haven't even touched the private part. Then we're going to see more difficult contracts, and we're going to go through the same process. Let's start with the contract, CLI, UI, and then we're going to actually combine contracts. So we have contracts that actually we have to use 2-3 contracts. And when the future of cross-contract communication comes in, we're going to use that as well to actually combine contracts in a modular way where we can create really complex applications. So as I mentioned in the last session, we are just scratching the surface. I mean, there's way much more to go. Well, so if we don't have any other question, this is all for this session, and we see you all the next session. Bye bye.